Hello and welcome to the 2024 Christmas in July with Venetia Ramsey from Scrapworx. We kickstart day 3 with a double page layout using our collection called Garden Party. You will need a few things for this project. So you're going to need a background. So I'm going to refer to my background pages. You need 2 as your pattern paper number 1. Your pattern paper number 2 is going to, you need this one. It comes from the essentials page. So this is from the full pack, this is from the essentials page, and you'll need this pattern from the full pack, and then the stripe from the essentials page. Okay, so we're going to work with just the collect 2 packs, the full and the essentials pack. The booklet we'll keep for the single page. All right, so once you've got sorted out what patterns you're going to use, so you would need to choose your pattern papers up front, because we're going to cut out our own dies from, so we're going to use some Sizzix dies. So I've cut 3 each of each of these. I die cut this one 3 times. I may not necessarily use them all, but just to have on hand. Then this one here I've cut out 3 times as well. I just used that one. And from this pack I've cut out about 10 of these and about 15 of the little ones. All right, so that's what you'll need to do that. And we're going to just color everything. I'm just going to do 1 each with you. So there's the big one. Then from the Volt series, there's these ones over here. So you would need to die cut 3 each of this. Okay, and then again I'm just going to show you 1 each of how to do that, because once you're able to do that, it's easy enough to go. So we're going to start off with these. So what you would need to do is we're going to create these little flowers. Okay, so to do this, my suggestion is that you actually do a whole lot one go. If you want to do exactly, you will need 2 yellow, 2 blue, and 3 of the pink, and the big ones. We're going to do the pink one together. And then on the little ones, you're going to need 5 of the pink, 4 yellow, and 3 blue. I'm going to do a yellow with you. So for these ones, I used my re-inkers. I find that that's the easiest way to do this. So I'll do a pink one with you and a yellow one. So the colors I chose is Ice Spruce, Fossilized Amber, and Victorian Velvet. So that's why I say it's good to do a whole lot at one go, because then you just need to mix your ink just once. So you just need a tiny little bit. See, mine's almost finished. There we go. Tiny little bit of the re-inker on your page, on your work surface. So the other thing you would need to do once you've die cut these out is just to go in and snip the little petals apart, right, like that. And on this one as well, we're just going to snip those little petals apart. You want to be able to manipulate the flower to look a little bit more lifelike, have some texture. Okay, and then I'm also going to, because I know I want to do 1 in yellow and 1. So you need the tiniest of tiniest of tiniest amounts. So once you have your little ink on the table, you're going to need your water, and we will need something to clean up with. I also have a couple of brushes. I'm going to use the bigger brush. All you're going to do is add some water to that little bit of ink that was on there, and then we're just going to take our flower and dip that in. Right, whatever's left on the brush you can then use to add to your flower. So I would normally do a whole lot of these all one go, but for this class, like I said, you're going to need 3 pink, 2 blue, and 2 yellow. Okay, we're just going to put that aside to dry. We're going to do the same thing to this one. Just activate that ink, pop this one in, and just get that covered. It's good, I think, to cover them. Make sure you've got ink on both sides. Okay, and just lift that up out the way. clean up your space. I then like to take the back of a paintbrush and just gently roll the flower around the paintbrush. You want to work gently, remember it's wet. So just going to squish it like that. Put it off to the side to dry. And the same as this one, put the paintbrush in the middle. It's just, the paintbrush is just there to help you roll around, give you something solid to squeeze against so you don't damage. Right, so I would put them aside like that to dry, and then when you open them up once they've dried, they will look something like that. Okay. It's good to create a whole lot to have available. These ones, we're going to use our distress watercolor pencils to color them in. So I am going to color one of these in with you and just tell you the exact same process that we used to color in. I'm going to do a flower and a leaf. You will use to do the rest. Okay, so I have my watercolor pencils in off to the side here. They're in a little I keep them in a little plate so that they don't go missing, or I don't lose them under something. And you can see there's the other flowers that I've been working on. I also have a watercolor brush to use. One of the things you want to make sure is that all the little goodies have been pressed out of your die cuts. Where the holes are supposed to be holes, you want to make sure you've got that, like that. So just clean up anything that may have been left behind. All right. Okay, so I know I've already colored in quite a few of my goodies, so that I'm going to be working for the yellows. I'm going to be working with wild honey, scattered straw, fossilized amber. For the blues, I'm just going to work with iced spruce. For the pink, I've got Victorian velvet. I don't even think I really used that on any of this. And then for my greens, I've also got 3 colors. I've got rustic wilderness, bundle sage, and forest moss. And then for the browns, I just have ground espresso that I used like that. Okay. So I think I took out the Victorian velvet thinking I'm going to color with them, but I don't think I ended up using it at all. Right, so I started off by doing the center of my flower with my lightest color, which is the fossilized amber. I just drew a circle where I knew that the center of the flower was going to be, and just added the lighter color like that. And then you can go ahead and add your light to everything that's going to be your flower. So I just put a little bit at the base of each little flower where I thought that I would need a little bit of color. And the same with this one, I just added some of the light at the bottom. Like that. Then I went and got my darker color, which is the wild honey, and just colored in the tips of each petal. Right, and then chose one side to bring that color down. And then added that same color just to the tips of each of the other flowers. Very random, very messy. We can always be going to blend that in. Added some more of this. Remember, we're just adding that first layer. We can always go back in and add some more. Right. So once all the flowers are done, I'm not going to do that one with you because it's the same thing. Like that. Right, Right, I then took the smaller of the brushes, took some water. See, it's got some Victorian velvet in it. Make sure your brush is clean, okay, and then just colored that pencil that I'd put on, just added some water to that to move it around. Okay, and I'm just working on plain cardstock, plain smooth white cardstock. It's not treated or anything like that. If you think you're going to be heavy-handed and damage your paper, then I would work on a watercolor cardstock, or prep your paper with some gel medium or gesso so that the paper there's a layer of protection between the paper and the coloring. So I'm switching over to my watercolor pencil, watercolor pen, water brush pen. You can see. And I'm just going to work that in just a little bit more. That's that first layer on. From the bottom, I'm just working up like that. This one I missed completely, but it doesn't matter. All I want to do is work those hard lines that I've made, blend them out, and in so doing the two colors mix really well together and give us that first layer of color. So if my brush doesn't release enough water, I will just go in and pick it up. Otherwise, I can just bend those bristles, pull it along, and I will there we go, the water will flow. Sometimes it's quicker to just pick up a little bit of extra water. Okay, so there we go with that. Right, so by now this one should be a little bit drier. I'm going to just move that, wet that pencil, and then I'm going to go in and pick up the darker color, which is in this case the wild honey. I'm going to use my brush on my pencil to pick up some ink, and then just go in and add a little darker layer. My surface is still a little bit damp, so that the pencil moves really well and blends almost immediately. Just going to clean off my brush and go in and pick up the fossilized amber, and then just put that in the circle, the center of where the flower would be. Just go and add that. You can leave that to dry a little bit, and I'll keep going and as the layers dry, I'll keep adding some color. For these ones, I'd like them to be just a little bit more a lighter yellow, so I'm picking up the fossilized amber, and I'm just going to tap on some color, getting the ones that I've missed. And if there are still any hard lines left from when I scribbled on with a pencil, I will work those out as well. This time with some ink on my brush, not just the water. There we go. For this one, I would like to do a little bit more yellow here at the bottom, going up into the darker yellow, the wild honey. So for this, I'm just tapping on some color, not brushing it on. Again, here I'm going from the dark bottom. Again, there's a one or two, I can see one or two little lines from adding the pencil. I'm just working those out while I'm at it. There we go. I'm going to clean off my brush, get that water to run. There we go. I can see the water starting to come out. Make sure that I've got most of them. I'm going to pick up the darker color and just add that to the tip of these flowers. And I'm going to rely on the water that's already on my flower to move it and to get that ink to wick into the, go down to create almost like a watercolor effect. If it feels to me like the ink's not moving enough, I'm just going to dab a little bit of water at the base of where I've added that ink, just to get it to move a little bit more. But I'm not pulling the color right through the flower. I just want it to wick in and sort of fade out. If you want a little bit of some areas to be a little bit darker, go in and add on the edge and just let that ink wick. I'm going to do the same with these little ones. I just want a tiny little bit of dark on the tips. Tiny little bit. I'm really just touching the very edge of the tip of the flower. Like that. Okay. And again with this one, I'd also like it to be just a little bit darker on the tips. So I'm just going in and adding a little bit of the wild honey to the very end. Like that. Taking off any excess ink, making sure there's just water on my brush, and then going and just adding a little bit of water at the base of where that ink stopped. I want it to blend, I don't want a hard line. There we go. With these ones now, I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that orange that I've added, or wild honey. It's dark yellow. Keep calling it orange. But there you go. You can see how nicely that is going to start to take shape. This one I just colored in with ice spruce. I wanted a little bit of the contrast with the color. Basically, I'm not going to do the whole goodie. I'm just going to show you. I just added some ice spruce to the stem like that. Because obviously I wanted that to be just a little bit darker. Then took my brush to my pencil and went in and just colored in. Even there where I added it with directly to the die cut, we can just go in and move that pencil around. I would suggest that I'll do the first layer, and I said I wasn't going to do the whole thing, but I will do the first layer with you, and then when it's dry, and it dries pretty quickly, you can then go in and add your second layer. And in certain areas you can go and add more ink than in others, so you can get your shading right. So you can see some areas are still very white, but I can't, I'm not going to go in and close and cover them right now. I would leave that as is now to dry. And once it's dry, go in and add another layer. Just get some of this ink off my brush. Okay. For the leaf, I did the same thing. We're going to go in and add the lightest color to the surface like that. I'll do 2 with you, and the rest you can do on your own. Right, so I went in like that. I then took the darker color, Forest Moss, and just added a little bit of the dark here and there. Again, just tapping it on. If it looked to me like it wasn't moving, then you can go in and pick up a little bit of water and just add some water to where you've splattered on the ink, where you've dabbed it on. And that will get the ink to move again. So that's basically what I'm trying to do, is just let the water wick the two colors together. My brush, I think, is empty. Yes. Like that. Once that was completely dry, you can then take, I took the Rustic Wilderness and colored in the stem. All the way down. Used my brush to pick up some of that ink, and then just colored in that stem to be just a little bit darker. And then here where it met the leaf, just tap a little bit so that the color wicks into the leaf. And again, as it dries, I would add another layer, add another layer, add another layer till we've got what we want. For the brown ones, for the twigs, basically just took ink directly off the brown one, which in this case we're using ground espresso, and added ink to the twig. Again, did it in layers, added one layer, then another layer, then another layer. Like that. So the same way we colored the leaves here, I did these. Some of them I then went back in and added some brown. Okay, so I think these have dried enough. I'm just going to add a little bit of brown at the base. We're just going to need some more water. My goodies run out of water, so I'm just going to add a little bit of brown to the base of each of these. And then a color in the twig. Okay, while that one's drying, we're going to do the same here. We're just going to add a little bit of brown here. Remember, you can color them in any color you want. You don't even have to do all this. You could just do everything in one, the whole thing in one color. I'm just going to bring that through like that. Take off, I've got too much ink on there. I'm going to take some off and then just use my brush to blend that out. Same here. I don't want any hard lines, so just going to work it out like that. There we go. This one doesn't need anything, so we're going to finish off the leaves here now. I'm going to swap brushes. Going to pick up my lightest color and just tap that over everything. I can always go in at the end and add in a little bit more of the brown. Okay, so go ahead and then add your lightest color to all of them. that. So we can go in and then finish this. There we go. All right, the same thing with this one. I'm not going to do it with you, but you can go in and add color in all your leaves first, and then go in and add in the brown for the branches. Like that. By now, everything, the rest of them should have started to dry, so I can go in with my darker color, which is forest moss. And then just carefully color them all in. Color those leaves in. Pull it down into the branch. Add some green over that brown, which would make it a little bit darker. See how nice that's starting to look. And then just take that all the way down like that. You can go back in and add some extra dark here and there, but you don't want to cover everything to be super dark. You want to leave a little bit of that light coming through. And again, if there are any hard lines, just go in and work it away with a little bit of water. It really is a tiny, tiny bit of water. You really just pick up the tip of your brush in that water and bring it over. Right, so we're going to do the next one. I'm going to go in and just bring that down. Like that. And then you can see I haven't worked it in properly there, so I'm just going to go back and we'll do the next one. Just need a little bit more water on my table. So I'm going to go over these the brown that I did. And then just color in the stem and the other leaves. That one's done and dusted nice and easy. And the same thing with this one now. I'm just going to go and put my brush down on each little leaf. And where that ink lands, that is where it's going to be. Remember, we don't want to color them in to be all solid in the same color. Right, remember I already put some of that rustic wilderness on the stem. I'm just going to go in and make sure that I work all of that in. And then that gives me my 3 different colors on my leaf. So that would need to dry, and then I would go and add another layer. You can see here now that this twig is dried, that we can easily go in and add some more brown. I'm going to go pick up a bit of the brown, and again just go in and add more pigment to that. I'm tapping the brush to be able to get different intensities and hitting it here and there and missing somewhere. The stem itself, the little twig going down, we can easily go in and paint that on its own to make it a little bit more solid, and make sure we've got everything covered. And again, as that dries, it'll lighten. We keep adding and adding until we're happy with the outcome. For this one, I'll finish off half of it for you. Again, we're going to add that first layer. Once that first layer has dried a little bit, we can go in and make the color a little bit more intense. Get it nice and dark. And keep going until the entire piece has been colored in the colors that you like. Right, so you will need, like I said, we won't necessarily use them all, but just in case you have a spot that needs to be filled, I would suggest we have 3 of everything painted and ready to go. So you would put this aside to dry, and then we I want to clean up, and then we can start to assemble the page. Hopefully those first 2 that we did are dry, and I can just open them up with you. Right, so these ones should have dried a little bit. I like to open them while they're still a little bit damp. I don't want to fiddle with them too much, so we would open them like that. And then the same with this one, just very gently open them up. And if a petal breaks off, you can still use the flower. We'll just glue the petal back when everything's nice and dry. That one wants to break, so there we go. Open it up like that, and then just you can heat set them, or you can leave them to dry by themselves overnight. Okay, so I haven't I'm not going to pack away my pencils and my inks in case I need them again. I'll keep the water close at hand because it has a lid. I'm less likely to knock it over. Just want to make sure that my water brush is clean, and we'll put that away. So I keep everything that I'm using, I keep it close on hand in case I need to reach for it again for something later. Okay, so I'm going to quickly finish cleaning up, and I'll see you in a bit.